inaugural season, and you've taken like 6 champions, national champions. What does that say about your team and just overall the program?
Oh man, we're just building. We're just getting started in the sense that our women just grew together closer each moment and opportunity they take that mat, because they know it. They know what it means to fight for Iowa. So it's a true honor to be able to work with them every day.
Has the national title set in yet?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was back and forth, North Central and Iowa. You could feel that, you could feel that, just that grittiness of wanting it for, their own programs, right? So, yeah, like to come out on top of North Central, which tough team, it was good.
I mean, considering, you talk about that, I mean, if you had said to yourself, okay, we're going to have 6 national champions, I don't think you ever would have thought that maybe it was going to be that close. But
yeah.
Obviously, North Central and what they were able to do, I mean, talk about now, I mean, this is probably a de facto rivalry going forward in the sport.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how much fun is that moving forward and what it means to grow women's wrestling as well?
Right. And that's what it is, right? That's what competition is about, is to push us to be better, like draw out the best in ourselves. That's what we ask of our women every day, right? We have 2 of the top 2 at 101 and 116. That's what they got to do with every day, So winning this feels great, but I know for me and my coaching staff, we're gonna go back to work, cause can't sit on this, because sit on this, you get caught snoozing. We don't want to snooze. Not at all. We gotta continue the fight. So.
Did you realize that Kylie was with a win would clinch that in that moment, or was that just like she just has to go in? So, I mean, talk about for the first year in the program, that being just a storybook moment, I guess, for Kylie to be the first commit.
Yep.
The one to clinch.
Yes.
What does that mean for the program in general moving forward?
Yeah, no, you always try to find these moments to connect with the student athletes, to kind of give them a little bit more belief and confidence and power, right? And sometimes it's making sure the timing's right, and she's great, and she knows that she's capable, of standing on top of that podium, and knowing her competitor, So I wanted to remind her today of that, that I thanked her. I wanted to show her gratitude and thank her for being the first recruit commit, and taking a chance on our program. She didn't know who the coaching staff was going to be. She didn't know who her teammates were going to be. She was the first, right? She was before Coach Mayab came along, and the fact that she believed in the institution and University of Iowa, and I don't know about me, but the fact that we believe in her, and we're here for her journey, through the collegiate level and to the senior level, and we're here to fight with her to go get that Olympic team spot.
What does it mean to have all the fans here cheering on you guys and supporting your team?
That's wild. That feels so good. It's like, I think in women's wrestling, I've never heard it like that before. Besides that, the Olympics, chanting for your own nation. And that feels really good. The Hawk fans show up. They show up at Carver at our home duels. They show up at regionals. They show up at nationals, at Soldier Salute, and so grateful for the fan base here and the support system. So
obviously the 6 individual titles, but then you have at those other weights somebody like Ava Rose that qualifies and picks up some points. Mm-hmm. How important was some of those people that weren't champions in terms of getting up to that team score?
No, absolutely. And Ava Rose, Frosty, Emily Frost, Haley Ward, they fought, they did the best they could, and got points for the team. Honestly, it's not an easy tournament to come through, and proud of them, because they've wrestled tough matches and came out with some good tough wins too. So they're only upside for them for their future. So.
Speaking of them, would you mind me asking how severe Frost's shoulder injury might have been, and how gratifying was it to see her come back after that first round loss and beat two really tough opponents, including Simon Fraser, that I think teched her back in Vegas. What is it like watching one of your athletes overcome that kind of adversity, even though it's a little under the radar compared to the 6 champions?
Absolutely, and that's what I reminded her. That weight class is so, like, anybody's game, really. Everyone's beating everyone at 130, and, told her exactly that, way to come back from that one, like, you know who you're stepping in front of, having wrestled someone before, and to not let that defeat you before you get onto the mat is the biggest thing, right? So, and the great thing with her is she wants to get back to work. She's been working on other things, to execute in the match, and it's slowly starting to show, which is great. I wonder if we had like a couple more months, so she's excited for U20 for that opportunity. So with her shoulder, great teammate. She warmed up Lily this morning, so whatever was needed, she was there, and that's something we're gonna look into, when we get back and see what it's like.
Felicity was, you could tell throughout this tournament, this was an emotional, just a lot going on. She was just battling through, and she bet on herself before and moves to 116. I mean, in her last year, how gratifying is it to see the senior came here, committed, and then just battle through all that emotion and gets it done? Absolutely.
For both her and Marlin's senior year, right? And you always want them to have that success for them to cap off their college career. Absolutely, I think Felicity had to fight through some adversity coming off of regionals, right? Losing to Bree in that final match. And, there's certain things that I've learned from my experiences, that maybe I've asked Marlin and Felicity to do a little bit of task work for me, but for themselves. Like, it was something that I didn't want them to show me, but I wanted them to do it for themselves. Okay, so and then and Felicity did it. She took to heart the task, and because really it really was for her to reflect on her journey, and what that means to her and how powerful that can be leading into something like this. So no, she took everything in, and it was a powerful thing because she's capable, right? Every one of these competitors are so good, and it's so, like, it's marginal, right? You flip this, you have this tournament next week, it's gonna look different, so it's in those moments, of like having all that aligned, your emotions, your mindset, your physical abilities, your spiritual, and what you're capable of putting it out there. Sorry, all out there. So I don't know. She did awesome today. She looked great.
When you look back at the history books, 101's been that class for you all year long. You said we have one, we have two. Emily Gonzalez is going to be the first women's wrestling national champion in Iowa when you look back at 34 years. Is that even set in for her? And what's it mean for her to be the first, too?
Yeah, I wonder if she knows that. Because I didn't, sometimes I forget about things like that, being the first weight class up, or, or for her it was the second weight class up, but, man, that's awesome. Yeah, sometimes I forget about things like that, but no, she's in the history books, and she deserves that. She earns that. She works her tail off to get that. So.
Speaking of Marlin, you see videos of her working out with Kylie, videos of her rolling around with Reese, and then she gets in a finals match like that with, a big, strong 155-pounder that came down from last year. She gets a takedown and then kind of gets exposures in an awkward situation. How much of that is a tribute to the work she does in the room with the partners that she has, and how much of that did you envision when you brought in not just Marlin, but all of those athletes around that same weight class?
That's what I reminded them this morning and before the semis. I said, hey, we have the toughest room in the country right now. You guys are battling like the top of the top, so there's no one that's going to beat you out there besides yourself. So you got to go get it, right? So, and they, between Kylie with her physicality and motion and movement, and her just her abilities, and same with Reese in a different end of the spectrum of her motion and movement. Marlin, she's great. She knows she's good at the scrambling situations and positions, just reminding her of that in the 30-second break. You know, it's like, hey, your hand fight looked good, and you can scramble with anyone. You know, she loves that. She loves that, like wrestling in funky positions. You know, sometimes a little bit too much for me, but she gets it done.
Last question.
In terms of nerves tonight, more nerves waiting for Kylie to go up, knowing that decides the duel, or waiting on at 109 for the little scoreboard confusion?
Oh gosh, the 109. That was roof, like so rough. That was got the blood boiling on that one. But Kylie's one, I just felt like I had a lot of confidence in her. You know, I don't know. I just knew she was gonna get the job done. I just had a strong confidence in her to get it done. But yeah, that 109 one, that one's tough. That was a tough one for both of them, right? You know, I know Ava came up on top, but it's you don't ever want it to go that way on either end of the spectrum. So that was a hard one for really both of them, and just super proud of Ava getting that match. You know, really smart match that she wrestled. So
That was a testament.